Welcome to Convenience Food Reviews. Today we're going to be tasting Boston Market Smothered Turkey. Smothered turkey in a savory gravy on home-style bread with mashed potatoes. And here is your cooking instructions. I'm going to be microwaving it today. I only have one, so we're going to microwave it, see how it tastes, and if it seems like it's going to benefit from going in the oven, I will do a part 2 where I check it in the oven. Here is your nutritional info and ingredients. If you want to take a look at this, you can pause for just a second. Be nicer if they wrote it on the back of the box like most do. It's a lot easier to read that way, but here we go. Now this is actually an open-faced hot turkey sandwich is one of my favorite meals, especially at a diner. When I was a kid, I used to drive around with my grandfather. He was a farmer. Take me on the routes in his pickup truck, and we'd stop at a lot of sort of truck stop style diners for lunch, and this brings back memories. Let's see how good it is. Here's the item. I'm assuming the bread is actually in underneath there. All right, so let's fire this into the microwave and see what happens. All right, so here we go. I can tell you right away that I'm not entirely thrilled with the aroma of this dish. It just doesn't smell horrible, but it just sort of smells like cheap food. So anyway, here's your box. Here's your product. Gravy's almost the same color. I'd say they have that in common. I guess this is the bread. So as you can see, the bread is just goo. Doesn't look like that. I actually kind of thought maybe the bread would be in a separate container or compartment somehow, like a TV dinner, and you can pour it over later. But anyway, so yeah, I mean, that is a slice of bread. We'll see in a minute if you can even tell that it's bread. Here we have potatoes. Mashed potatoes tend to microwave pretty well. I'm gonna get rid of this. They seem like they're gonna be okay. And then we have some turkey and gravy. So let's give this a taste. Boy, I don't know about this bread. It's got a certain amount of... It's like it's so rubbery that it's designed to hold itself together, even though it's been sitting in gravy its entire life. I have to admit, that tasted better than I thought. This is kind of interesting. I'll show you this in a minute. Yeah, that tasted better than I thought it was going to taste. It's kind of... It's still not great, but I actually thought it was going to taste bad. It doesn't taste bad. The bread is not really much more than just a bit of a chewy texture soaked with gravy. I don't know if this idea is working out, and this is what I was going to show you. So this is... Oh my. So this is the bottom of the bread right here. Yeah, you can kind of see it's just been sitting there in the pan. Or maybe this part on the edge actually seems like it's alive. I'm going to try that in the next bite. That seems like it's... Oops, did you see this? This part right here? It's actually got crust that's recognizable. You can tell it's bread, but meanwhile over here, it's just literally this clear stuff that's kind of shaped all flat to the bottom. I don't know about that idea. Anyway, I'm going to put another slice of turkey on here. We're going to have this good piece of bread. So this is kind of what a bite of a hot turkey sandwich would be to me. Okay, so in that bite, I could actually taste the bread. And it tasted like, basically like Wonder Bread, just the cheapest white bread you can think of. Again, it tastes a little bit better than I thought. The turkey's pretty good. The gravy is, I don't know exactly how to describe it. I guess maybe a tiny bit bland, or I'd almost describe the flavor as simple. Um, it tastes like gravy, but just doesn't have a lot of seasoning in it, and it's just kind of a simple turkey gravy. Nothing to write home about. It's like it needs something, like just some celery or just a little bit more flavor. Now we'll try the mashed potatoes with a little piece of turkey. I don't know if I'm imagining it. I guess I can see. I almost feel like I taste a tiny bit of black pepper in there, but I think that might be my imagination, or maybe there's some pepper in the gravy or some pepper just sprinkled over the whole thing. Um, the potatoes are just microwave mashed potatoes. There's nothing to write home about. They taste fine on the turkey and with a bit of that gravy, but they're not stellar overall. It tastes better than I was expecting. It tastes like a frozen turkey dinner, kind of. The turkey's pretty good. The gravy's mediocre. The bread is almost a disaster, I think. It still is edible. I can't remember how much this cost. What I'm gonna do is I'm going to put a note of it on the video. I'm gonna go and look up what it costs, and I'll put that in when I edit it. I believe this was a fairly inexpensive, under $3 dish. So we'll just go with that, and I'll correct myself later if I'm wrong. So it's a fair amount of food for under $3. This is a fairly large little platter. This is a decent sized meal. It's not great food. It's sort of like crappy cafeteria food kind of level. The meat's pretty good though, so you got to give it that. The gravy is palatable. The bread is a bizarre idea that I think looks good on the box cover, but I don't think it adds anything to the meal. I think the bread needed to be separate so that you could pour everything over a dried piece of bread right before you eat it. That's really kind of how you're supposed to do this, and that's how it tastes best. And the mashed potatoes are just plain old mashed potatoes. So at the end of the day, it's a decent sized, passable tasting meal for a fairly inexpensive price, assuming I'm remembering that right. But it's not great. It's not going to set your hot turkey sandwich world on fire. Boston Market, smothered turkey and savory gravy. Okay, so final notes on the Boston Market Smothered Turkey. I went back to the store to remind myself of what I paid for this. It was $2.99 regular, and I paid $2.44. So it is reasonably inexpensive for how much food you get, especially on sale. I mean, it's a lot of food for $2.44. It isn't great, but it isn't horrible. You can eat it. I didn't like it. I won't be buying it again. However, it does have the redeeming quality that it is a fair amount of food for a pretty cheap price. But you get what you pay for. Boston Market, smothered turkey and savory gravy.